Hi guys, I'm Ginny. Today I decided to bring another deck to climb the ladder, but with a twist. Because since I play mainly expeditions due to my incomplete card collection, I will not only bring decks to climb, but also bring games of me climbing with those decks and showing how my rank is progressing. As well as telling you guys the win rate I had as I climbed to, prove that the deck I'm bringing actually work and I'm not fooling any of you or using clickbait and whatnot. So let's start today with Bannerman. Oh boy, this deck never leaves the meta. This is the rank I started, pretty low, right? I'll talk more about the deck, some peculiarities, and some things you shouldn't do, and by the end of this video I will show what rank I currently am and my win rate. The deck is pretty simple. It revolves around having a solid board presence as well as buffing the board I have with War Chefs, Vanguard Banner, and Cytherea the Bold. I added as well one Tiana, as well as one Unyielding Spirit, because these two cards may be taken as situational cards, but way more often than not they prove that they deserve a spot on this deck. I'm using 3 Fioras because it is a threat that if it's not answered wins games, so you put the pressure on your enemy. Garren helps with defending yourself as well as attacking and putting pressure on the enemy as well. There are two very important cards you have to have 3 copies of in this deck in order for the deck to work. And these cards are Grizzled Ranger because he's simply too good to pass. He adds too much value for a 4-drop, and Vanguard Bannerman because he is what puts this deck to work. I put in this deck a hired gun because I don't like having a deck with only one region, because if the enemy sees, for example, only Demacia, he knows exactly what he can expect from my deck, and having a different region makes him possibly play around cards I don't have, which is an advantage for me. Besides, Hired Gun is a great card, so that's that. Okay, so how do you want to play this deck? You want to keep your units alive unless you get an important trade, and you want to be ahead on board. Also, you should have in mind that even though Ranger's Resolve is a fantastic card when played with a full board, playing it with only 2 units, for example, can also be beneficial to save key units or to take your enemy off guard. So you should keep your mind open and try not to be too greedy while playing this deck. One other thing you should keep in mind is not to rush into playing Garren, because since this deck is a mid-range deck, you don't want games to drag too long. And if you're not sure that making that 5 mana commitment to drop him is a good play, maybe you should play something else and save him for later. So have in mind that more often than not, Garren won't be played on curve. Since you don't have many health buffs, Fiora won't be so hard for your enemy to remove, but you may be able to work with her using Bright Seal Protector on Fiora, for example. Is a great way of pressing your enemy and leveling her up. You should have in mind that the more you make your enemy work to remove Fiora, the less resources your enemy will have later on to expend on removing your board and other key units. So even though often you won't win with Fiora's effect, you should use her wisely. Now for the Mulligan, you should always look for a good curve. Having a good curve is key to set pace of the game with this deck. So keeping later cards, for example Garren, Cytherea, Tiana, and Unyielding, may be detrimental to you. So keep that in mind and try to go for lower curves and only keep single combat, for example, in your hand, in your opening hand, if you know it will be useful early on to remove some key units, remove an opposing champion or something like that. The best possible outcome, in my opinion, in most scenarios, of course, that you will have to judge by yourself, is to have a minion to drop, a follower to drop on turn 1, a follower to drop on turn 2, a follower to drop on turn 3, and maybe the best thing of all is to have options on what followers to play each turn. So keep that in mind. This is a very important part of this deck. It's a minion, it's a follower based deck. About specific matchups, there's not much that can be said. You should only have some guidelines in your head. You want to be ahead on board. Against aggro decks, you want to survive the early aggression and make them run out of steam, and because then you will win pretty easily. And against control decks, you want to pressure them as much as you can, because the later the games get, more powerful they become. So to wrap it up, I played 13 games with this deck and I finished losing only 3 of those games. So the win rate was 76%, pretty good since I made the deck today, and I've never played a Bannerman deck before, but the deck is not that hard to pilot, so even if you're new at the game, you should be alright. So this is my current rank, and this will wrap it up for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment if this video was helpful to you, a like. So that's it. See ya!